Emma stood at the foot of the overgrown path leading to their grandmother's old Victorian manor, the once grand house now cloaked in vines and shadows. The evening air was thick with fog that clung to her skin, and the scent of damp earth mingled with decaying leaves filled her lungs. She pulled her coat tighter, glancing at her younger brother, Alex, who stared up at the towering silhouette with a mix of curiosity and unease. His dark hair fell into his eyes, which mirrored the same apprehension she felt deep in her bones. "It's strange being back after all these years," he murmured. Emma nodded silently, her mind racing with fragmented memories of summers spent here before their parents' sudden deaths had pulled them away. She was the cautious one, always protective of Alex's impulsive nature. But today, the roles blurred as they faced the silent giant that was their grandmother's legacy. They pushed open the heavy wooden door, its rusty hinges emitting a mournful creak that echoed through the cavernous foyer. Dust particles floated lazily in the pale light, seeping through cracked, stained glass windows, casting distorted colors onto the faded Persian rugs beneath their feet. The air was stale, tinged with a lingering scent of lavender and something else. Something old and hidden. As they moved deeper into the house, floorboards groaned underfoot, and the distant ticking of an unseen clock marked the passing seconds with the oppressive insistence. In the parlor, family portraits lined the walls, eyes seeming to follow them with each step. Emma paused before a painting of their grandmother as a young woman, her gaze piercing and enigmatic. "She always had her secrets," Emma whispered. Alex ran a finger along a dust-covered piano. "Maybe it's time we found out what they were." Their exploration led them to the attic, a cavernous space cluttered with antique furniture, shrouded in yellowed sheets. A single bulb hung from the rafters, its weak glow barely piercing the darkness. Amidst the relics, a large trunk adorned with ornate carvings caught Alex's eye. "Look at this," he called out. Emma joined him as he knelt to inspect the lock, a heavy iron thing that looked as old as the house itself. Surprisingly, it yielded easily to their touch, the lid releasing with a sigh as stale air rushed out. Inside, neatly stacked and labeled with dates spanning their childhood years, were dozens of videotapes. Home movies, Alex speculated, lifting one labeled June 1998. Emma frowned. "But we don't have any recollections of being filmed." A chill ran down her spine, a flicker of unease that she couldn't quite place. "Let's watch them," Alex suggested, a hint of excitement overshadowing his apprehension. They carried the tapes downstairs to the den, where an ancient television and VCR awaited, as if expecting their arrival. The first tape whirred softly as it began to play. The screen flickered to life, displaying a sun-drenched garden where two children, Emma and Alex, no older than 6 and 8, played beneath the boughs of a weeping willow. Laughter filled the air as they chased each other around the tree. Emma leaned forward. "I don't remember this at all." The camera panned abruptly, and their grandmother's face filled the frame, her eyes not on the children, but focused intently on the shadows beyond them. The footage wavered, and for a moment a dark figure seemed to materialize amongst the trees before the screen went black. Alex rewound the tape. "Did you see that?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Emma nodded, her heart pounding. What was it? As they watched more tapes, the atmosphere shifted from nostalgic to unsettling. In one, they were building sandcastles on a fog-laden beach neither recalled visiting. Behind them, silhouettes moved within the mist, figures that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. In another, taken during a family picnic, the sky darkened unnaturally, and a low hum permeated the air as their younger selves stared blankly into the camera. "This is impossible," Emma said, her hands trembling. "How could we not remember any of this?" Alex rubbed his temples. Maybe we were too young, but doubt lurked in his eyes. They continued watching, each recording more disturbing than the last. Whispers in unknown languages could be heard just beneath the surface of the audio, and shadowy apparitions became more pronounced. The final tape chilled them to their core. It showed them sleeping in their beds, the footage filmed from inside their closets. A tall, gaunt figure stood over them, its face obscured by darkness, long fingers reaching out but never quite touching. Night enveloped the house, bringing with it an oppressive silence. The siblings sat in the glow of the static-filled screen, fear settling like a weight upon their shoulders. "I feel like these tapes are trying to tell us something," Alex said, breaking the silence. Emma met his gaze. "Or warn us." A sudden thud echoed from upstairs, followed by the sound of footsteps. They exchanged startled glances. "Is someone else here?" Emma whispered. Grabbing a fireplace poker for protection, they crept up the winding staircase, following the noises to their grandmother's old bedroom. The door, which they had left ajar earlier, was now closed. Summoning her courage, Emma pushed it open. The room was untouched, except for the wardrobe doors swinging gently as if someone had just passed through them. Inside, they found a hidden passage leading to a small study filled with occult symbols and worn tomes bound in cracked leather. On a desk lay their grandmother's journal. As Emma flipped through the pages, a horrifying narrative unfolded. Their grandmother had been deeply involved in the occult, her writings detailing rituals and encounters with entities from beyond the veil of reality. She had discovered that their family was marked by a malevolent spirit that sought to claim them. The tapes were a record of the entity's manifestations and her attempts to shield Emma and Alex, using spells to suppress their memories of the traumatic events. She was trying to protect us, Emma realized, tears welling in her eyes. Alex's face paled as he pieced it together. But now that she's gone... A cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. An otherworldly growl resonated from the shadows, and the temperature plummeted. The entity, no longer held at bay by their grandmother's magic, was free to pursue them. A figure emerged from the corner, a hulking silhouette with eyes that glowed like embers. Emma and Alex backed away, terror gripping them. "We need to do something," Alex shouted, panic rising in his voice. Recalling the rituals detailed in the journal, Emma grabbed a piece of chalk from the desk and hastily drew a protective circle on the floor, inscribing the symbols she'd seen on the pages. "Get inside," she cried. They huddled together as the entity lashed out, its form colliding with an invisible barrier that sparked and sizzled. The house shook violently, plaster cracking and pictures falling from the walls. The siblings began to chant the incantation written in their grandmother's shaky handwriting, their voices blending in desperate harmony. The entity howled, its form flickering as beams of light pierced through its shadowy exterior. With a final, ear-splitting scream, it shattered into 1,000 shards of darkness that dissolved into nothingness. Silence settled over the manor, the only sound their ragged breaths. The protective circle faded, and the oppressive weight that had suffocated the air lifted. "Is it over?" Alex asked, his eyes searching Emma's face. She nodded slowly, exhaustion pulling at her features. "I think so." As dawn broke, they emerged from the house, the first rays of sunlight casting warmth upon their skin. The manor stood quietly behind them, no longer a place of fear, but a monument to their grandmother's sacrifices. "She gave everything to keep us safe," Emma said softly, her gaze lingering on the weathered stones. Alex placed a hand on her shoulder. We owe it to her to remember and to live." They walked away, leaving the shadows of the past where they belonged, carrying with them a newfound understanding of their family's legacy and the strength that resided within them both.